Welcome to this Fgtv special, A Fulton Farewell for Congressman John Robert Lewis. I'm Shania Chavis-Rucker, and it is my pleasure to join you from outside the state capitol, where inside today, Georgia's governor, state, county, and city leaders will all honor this icon. In just a few, we are expecting the family to arrive, and we are expecting the governor to come to the steps right here and to greet them personally, and where he will then take the family to the rotunda with the honor guard, with the Congressman Lewis's body, and they will go in and have this very special service at the rotunda. Now, following the ceremony, the public viewing will begin. That ceremony is supposed to start at 2. The public viewing is supposed to start at 3 p.m. And Thursday, the final tribute to Congressman John Lewis with his homegoing service at the historic Ebenezer Baptist Church. Now, I am looking forward to the conversations we will have over the course of this program and about the memories about Congressman Lewis. This is going to be a really, really good day. But here with his very own stories is Fulton County's own Chairman Rob Pitts. Sir, thank you so much for joining us. And you know, this is not a happy occasion, but it's good to talk about Congressman Lewis. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So what have you made of all that we've seen since the congressman's passing?
Well, first of all, I think it's fitting that we're here in Atlanta, but it's also fitting and proper that he was honored and given his propers around the country, going back to Troy, Alabama, the boy from Troy. Everybody knows those stories. Edmund Pettus Bridge, back to Washington, and finally coming home to rest, which is where Atlanta, Fulton County, Georgia, where he called home. So this is very fitting, very proper, and I'm really, really honored to have been asked to say a few words and reflect on my relationship with him.
Yes, and I want to talk about that relationship, but do know that if the family arrives and once the honor guard arrives, we will of course bring that to you live here. But Chairman, you're talking about your relationship with him, and not to date yourself, but you all go way back.
We do. You know, it's interesting when people pass on the transition. Everybody comes up with their stories about how they knew the person, when probably 90% of the time that's not true. They didn't even know the person. They read about him, but yeah, they claim him. And most people will remember him, and rightfully so, as a civil rights leader, icon, hero, whichever term you choose. There's probably not a word to describe what he really meant. Or as a member of Congress, which he served 5th District for a long, long time. And I can go back to the beginnings of when all that happened as well. But what I remember most about him was our service. Very few of us around. Most people didn't even realize that he served on the Atlanta City Council.
Well, let's stop there, because you're absolutely right. There are a number of people who have absolutely no idea, no recollection of that. Take us back to those days.
Well, John did serve on the Atlanta City Council. I was an enlarged member of the City Council. He came on after I did as a member of the City Council, and he was when I say a formidable opponent, he was, because frequently he and I were not on the same side of issues. In particular, he was a staunch neighborhood activist.
That's right.
He represented
to the very end.
To the very end. He always, and that was his base. I mean, you take Grant Park, Inman Park, the in-town neighborhoods, and where we clashed, quite frankly. You want behind the scenes history.
Keep it clean.
It's all clean, but at least because, for example, the Presidential Parkway, John was adamantly opposed to that because the neighborhoods were opposed to it. At that time, I was for it.
Did they see that as a somewhat of gentrification, and was he worried?
Well, it wasn't called that at the time.
Okay.
But they wanted to. I mean, the people in that neighborhood at that time, they were primarily young whites and some older blacks, but primarily young. We're all young at that time, moving in, and they saw that road coming through as really destroying the neighborhood. So it was a fierce battle. I represented Post 13 at large, but to run for Post 13 at large, you had to live in either the 1st Council District or the 2nd Council District, and that really was all of the in-town neighborhoods, Grant Park, Inman Park, so that's where the activists were. But since I ran at large, I had the advantage of the support of the business community in the north side areas, that wanted this to go through.
And,
so
and,
in
and
the
the
end,
congressman, then city councilman, he wasn't having it.
no, because he was representing that group in there. I mean, some of the people
Yeah.
are still around who can confirm exactly what I'm saying now. But he was, again, a very formidable opponent, fought it tooth and nail. But in the end, you know, we prevailed and you have what you have now. I can remember the night that I actually crafted the compromise that led to this parkway now and through the boundaries where they are now. And it was the last
So
minute.
how ironic, then, that it is now called.
Well, it is ironic. It is ironic
quite
because
ironic.
he fought it tooth and nail. And the people who were around, I mean, Sally Dorn, Ruthie Wall, people like that who are still around, they can confirm everything that I'm telling you. Now, we just lost John Sweet. His wife, Ms. Sweet, is still with us. Tom House. These are all people.
Right.
Bill Campbell.
And see, this is why we wanted to have the chairman on, because we wanted you to be able to hear some historical perspectives, because we all know the stories that we've seen and heard about Congressman Lewis, and many of us have followed him, but there was a back story. And even before he got to Atlanta, he was serious about that Montgomery bus boycott. He was serious. I even understand, Chairman, that when you look in 1965 and the Voting Rights Act, he was a formidable opponent even then to President Lyndon Johnson, even about that.
He was. And actually, I'm reading a book now where some of that's in this book about Johnson. So he was, I mean, very unique individual. When he's called a hero and all of that, he probably was, because he was just unique.
Yes.
He always had, I mean, when he was speaking, could be very fiery. But when you're just talking with him, conversing with him, he had almost like a little smirk on his face. But I've never heard John Lewis say a bad word about anybody. As long as I knew him, he would, you know, even if someone else was saying something negative, you know, he just sort of smiled with that little.
Well, he always had a grace about him.
He did.
You know, no matter how hard
He
the
did.
topic, no matter how difficult the opponent, he found a way. And it was because when you really do your history and you go back and look, it is because of that non-violence movement and that spirit of, and they were trained to be non-violent.
And that's just true, but you know, I can remember, again, back to city council days, and there are very few of us that remember those days when we actually served with him. And when he would make a speech then, he would always weave into it something about the movement and something about the Edmund Pettus Bridge, and you know, how, you know, what the future of the world is going to be like. So he was just a unique individual. And I remember former state representative Billy McKinney, among others, we would always, you know, joke about, here comes John again, here he comes. But in the end, even though you would disagree with him on the issue, you still liked him.
That's right.
He was that kind of guy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we are here live outside of the state capitol, and we are waiting on the family to arrive. As you may know, the congressman has been honored all over the country, and he has, of course, his family wanted to make his final stop right here in Atlanta. And so let me just take a look over my shoulder and see. You see folks walking up. I don't know, at some point we'll be able to show you there is a flag that the Atlanta Fire Department has hung over this Washington Street, so that when the congressman's body comes down this thoroughfare and the honor guard will get him, there is a full tribute, a full ceremony for him. Again, we're very excited about the opportunity to be able to call the congressman our own right here in Atlanta and in Fulton County. And throughout this whole special program, we're just going to show you some scenes that you may not have seen before through the years. We're also going to talk to some family friends, and then at some point we're going to take you inside for that 2 o'clock ceremony. But we want you to stay where you are. We're going to take a break, and we're going to ask you just to sit tight with us and enjoy us as we have this special Fulton farewell for Congressman John Lewis. Welcome back to this FGTV special of Fulton Farewell for Congressman John Lewis. We are live outside of the Georgia State Capitol, where the governor will hold a special memorial service here and where Georgians will pay their respects as the congressman will lie in state in the rotunda. And my colleague Daryl Carver is joining me here, and he is hearing firsthand why people really wanted to be a part of this historic day. Daryl?
You know, Shania, one of the things when we come to the Capitol, anytime you drive around downtown Atlanta, one of the big sights you see just down the street, really from where we are, is the big mural on the wall that has John Lewis's face on it and a single word. That word is hero. That is why people are coming down here to the state capitol to pay their respects to him. He meant a lot to this community, though Atlanta was not the place of his birth, as we well know. He was a native Alabaman. However, he served in Congress and before that on city council for so long that, frankly, Georgians see him as one of them. So periodically, we've been seeing people strolling by here. We are still awaiting the arrival of Lewis's family to come down here, and also the arrival of Lewis's body to lie in state here at the Capitol. We will have more details on this throughout the afternoon, but for now, we're going back to break.
Welcome back to this FGTV special of Fulton Farewell for Congressman John Lewis. We, again, are here outside of the state capitol for a special ceremony to happen in the rotunda. You might want to know there's been just a limited number, as you can imagine. We are still in the midst of a pandemic, so there's been a limited number of people being allowed into the rotunda. Chairman Rob Pitts, we will talk to him in just a second again. He will represent Fulton County as the governor and his staff, and the Lewis family is asked that very few people attend some of these public services. We mentioned the family has been to Selma, been to Montgomery, been to D.C., the nation's capital, and now back home. And tomorrow, his final resting place following the funeral at Ebenezer Baptist Church, the historic Ebenezer Baptist Church. So let me, again, welcome Chairman Rob Pitts. We've been talking a little bit about what this day is. And, you know, we've seen some rain, and then we see the sunshine. That is him. That is him. And it doesn't surprise you that folks really want to be a part of this moment, because not only is he history, he lived history, he will be our history, and folks really want to take all of this in.
Yeah, to that point, I have a cousin here who moved back to Georgia from New York, and one of my distant cousins called me yesterday, her mom, and said, well, what time, will the public be able to view the body and so forth? She said, well, Mom, she just wants to come down. She doesn't want to go outside. She's on a walker now, but she just wants to be present in the crowd so that she can be in the moment and share with what all he has meant to, not only to the state of Georgia, but to this country and to the world, because John was really a citizen of the world. And while we're on break, I'm sitting here thinking and reflecting back on when he won that seat you didn't ask me about that, but you talk about, I won't tell you everything,
okay.
But those were some interesting days in Atlanta politically for that 5th district seat when that race, really historic race between John Lewis and Julian Bond. Actually, this is it's not necessarily a little known fact. You had to be here at the time. I was encouraged to run in that race.
How about that?
And there was a poll that was taken. I can show you the results of it. Probably could have won it, to be honest with you.
Oh, so what you're basically saying is Congressman Lewis, because you didn't run.
No. That's not what I'm saying at all. I didn't, because I'm happy. I love Atlanta. I love local politics.
Yeah.
But seriously, I was an at-large council
But
member.
it was a coveted. The point I think you're really pressing is it was a coveted, and still is a very coveted position.
Exactly. But you had two giants. And here I am, just a young, nobody city council member, though, but had an at-large following. And that was a pretty expansive district, and it covered a lot of my constituents. So, therefore, that interest. But you had two real heavyweights in that race, and you've heard some of the stuff that went on at the time, and it really divided the black community in particular at that time. You had the pro John Lewis group, and you had the pro Julian Bond group, and you had those others who said, "Man, they need to stop this. This is we need to keep this stuff in the community. This is in the family."
Yes.
But that's not what happened, and so but the rest is history. I won't go into all the details and the things that were said behind the scenes.
Please don't.
No.
One of the things that I think is just amazing is the fact that when you look at his history, the legacy of him, and you understand how young he was when he started, and you see this movement now of just all of these young people. That is Congressman John Lewis at its best, because he was just a young boy when he got started. Hence his name from Dr. King, the boy from Troy. So when you see all these young folks wanting to be a part of this new movement, which for the congressman it was always the movement, but for the young people it's a new movement. How encouraged are you about the state of affairs in terms of moving forward with these young people?
Well, I think that the energy that I see, the energy that I feel, and if as long as it's channeled in the right directions, I think we're poised for some change in the country. But I've seen a lot, and I've heard these conversations in the past, and know that it starts with a conversation, but actions have to take place at some point in time as well. So the fact that you have the young people now who are getting involved, I think is a positive sign. And it's not just blacks, and it's not just this country, it's around the world. I mean, people want change. And someone said that change requires real change. I'm not sure who said that, but nothing could be further from the truth. And if they continue, I think we are, who sang this song? Change is going to come?
Yeah, change is going to come.
Yeah.
So what you can see on camera is on each side of the street here. We're on Washington Street in downtown Atlanta, in between MLK and Mitchell. And they have the Georgia State Patrol. They are here. They're on guard. They're ready. And they're ready to just have this moment of reverence. So they're keeping people at bay for now, because as we mentioned, the public viewing will begin at 3 o'clock. And so they want to make sure that the family understands that just as they did in Alabama and in D.C., that here at home, they want to make sure that there is a full ceremony. So just over my shoulder, if you don't mind me looking, we've got the honor guard. He is here. He is going to lead the rest of the honor guard here. I mentioned to you that on the corner is also a huge American flag draped over the fire truck, waiting on the arrival of Congressman Lewis's body and their family. And, you know, as long as Atlanta is Atlanta, then, you know, we have a special way in which we like to say farewell. And in particular in the African American church, you know, we call it a homegoing. And you've heard probably a lot of people talk about receiving Congressman Lewis into the pearly gates. And so that is what we want to see happen here today. We are, again, outside of the state capitol. We are waiting on the family to arrive. And when we come back, we have more stories about the one and only Congressman John Lewis. Stay with us, everybody. Welcome back to this FGTV special, a Fulton farewell for Congressman John Lewis. Now, on the same day that our country lost Congressman Lewis, just hours earlier, his friend in the civil rights struggle also passed away. Of course, we're talking about the Reverend C.T. Vivian. He was a friend and lieutenant of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. during the civil rights movement, and he, too, called Atlanta home in his final days. The scholar also founded the C.T. Vivian Leadership Institute. The good Reverend was honored by Fulton County Board of Commissioners in 2014, I believe it was, and just before his proclamation, he gave us a few minutes of his time. And during our discussion, I asked him about his spirit of service. Take a look. Where did your spirit of service come from?
You know what? I don't remember a time in my life.
A couple things he's going to say. He talked about
I don't remember a time
racism.
when I was not thinking about the fact of what are we going to do about racism in America. We didn't call it racism then. It's just a matter, well, we did, but we didn't at my age, right? The idea is how are we going to stop this nonsense of destroying people, right? That's what it was all about. I remember when I was 5 years old, and my grandmother, and that's the real issue, Grandma. That is what made the change, right? But she was talking about a reform school that we could not see from our house, but she was afraid that I and all the other black kids in the neighborhood liable to end up there or just be cut off or a policeman pick them up for no real reason. And I was about 5. I didn't say nothing, but I remember it.
Yeah.
But you know the other thing I remember from Grandma?
What's that, sir?
Is that this was the one, is that I was county marble champion, right? I want everybody to know that. But I was underneath her bookcase trying to get marbles out from underneath. See, it practice during the winter. You know, you frame it at the
Yes,
bottom,
sir.
and then you can shoot and practice, right? And then you go under and get it. Well, I pulled myself up on the bookcase, and there I saw a book called Men of Mark, and it's a thick book, right? And I was looking through it, and they had all of these black men and women. I remember there was one woman in the case who was head of a bank, by the way, right? Which is not bad.
That's right.
That's right. And there must have been 100 or so people in that book, right? And my grandmother was coming to the house, and she looked over my shoulder, and she said, "Those are race men."
Well, sir, we thank you for your service, do we?
Yes.
We thank you for your service. We thank you for your time. And we look forward to seeing what's next.
And thank you.
4, 3.
What an amazing honor to be able to sit down with this giant. Chairman, you heard him say, ever since he was a little boy, the issue of racism, and you heard him say, we didn't call it racism back then, but it was always on the forefront. Your thoughts about Reverend C.T. Vivian?
Well, I mean, a true gentleman, true scholar, elegant, debonair, always well dressed, as we say on the block. You know, cleaner than the board of health. Always, yeah. So that's what I remember about him. But just soft-spoken, the kind of elegance that anyone would want to emulate. So he was just, there really aren't words to describe what I felt about him, because they were all different. You know, John Lewis is John Lewis, but C.T. Vivian was C.T. Vivian. When he walked into a room, it was just like, wow, here he comes, you know, just smooth.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because he too started as a very young man in the movement, and he liked to say to Congressman Lewis that I was just a few years older. Yeah, I'm a few years older, but the age and the spirit was still
But
the
think how
same.
young even Martin Luther King was
Yes.
at that period of time.
Yes.
It's just amazing when you look back on it. I mean, how young they were, but whatever it was, thank God for all of it.
Well, Chairman, I thank you. I know you want to mingle a little bit, but don't go too far because I want to bring, stay on back. We're waiting on the family.
Okay.
And I know that another commissioner wants to speak as well, but don't go too far. But we just want everyone to just understand that this Fulton Farewell Special was important to Fulton County government because they recognize all of the sacrifices that the congressman made, not just for the country, but in particular for this very district. And so we are excited to be able to just share some of this time with our own elected leaders who walked the walk with him and who met with him on many, many occasions. So, sir, thank you again. Don't go anywhere. So, folks, we will be right back for more of our special, A Fulton Farewell for Congressman John Lewis. Stay with us.
Charles.
Welcome back, everyone, to this FGTV special, a Fulton farewell for Congressman John Lewis. Here now is the sitting district commissioner in the very district of our congressman, Commissioner Natalie Hall. It is such a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It is a really, it's a sad day in Georgia and in America that we've lost such an icon, someone who fought for our civil liberties, who fought for human rights, and who to me was a friend. He supported me when I ran the very first time, having never run for office in my entire life. He stepped up and endorsed me. You know, after the passing of my commissioner, the late Fulton County Commissioner Joan Garner. And it has just been, you know, amazing to know the man, Congressman John Lewis. He has inspired me to fight and continue to fight for our constituents.
Yeah, and you know, and I say this respectfully because I think you and I are right there, almost close in age, but you are that young generation that he spoke about in terms of the next generation of leadership. And when we've all had an opportunity to go back and learn about even more about Congressman Lewis, and so we all know that he started as just a young man. And when you see so much now, Commissioner, these young people wanting to step up and take charge, that really is the spirit of Congressman Lewis.
Yes, it is. You know, the newest member of the City Council, Antonio Brown, has actually started a task force called the Atlanta Uprising Task Force, and it is in the spirit of Congressman John Lewis. We have even assembled a ride that's going to be called the Freedom Ride.
How about that?
That's going to Kentucky to, you know, fight for the rights of civilians in protest of what has happened recently with the killings at the hands of police, and just to get people to peacefully protest, and you know, in a good way, the way that Dr. Martin Luther King and Congressman Lewis would want us to do it.
Yes, and you know what is so interesting is when you see the young people who are out today, who, as you said, Commissioner, peacefully protesting. This was in the spirit of Congressman John Lewis when you think about him starting as a young child. But here's what is amazing. He went from the protest to the policy making.
Yes.
He took it all the way from the streets to the halls of power.
Yes.
And are you hoping that young people see that and are inspired to continue in that?
I am hoping that they not only are inspired to do that, but they need to be inspired to vote.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I've had so many conversations with so many young people, and they feel like their vote doesn't count. And they need to have a better understanding about the fact that Congressman John Lewis and others fought for our right to vote.
That's right.
And that is something that we cannot take for granted.
That's right.
We need to get out there and vote. And for our young people, I'm hoping that they will see and understand that and start stepping up to the plate. But I am very happy to see so many young people who have stepped up to run for office.
Yeah.
And you know, we have so many of them at the state and at the city of Atlanta, and I'm really proud of that, to see them doing that.
And we have talked quite a bit about some of the social justice and the change that we see happening in our community and all around the country. And Fulton County government is taking quite a stand in terms of wanting to at least start the conversation.
Yes.
Tell me more about what you're hoping to see as it relates to Fulton County government moving forward, and how we can foster that kind of a conversation.
Well, you know, I think we kind of started when we passed legislation to combat what was going on out in the public with the protests. And
Commissioner, let me just, if I can have the camera, come on, pan back here. We see a moment here, and we want to, let me kind of sit out the way, and we want you to take in this moment, and you can see it for yourself. This is the honor guard
so you get
coming down the Capitol. They are here to wait on Congressman, wait on his body to come. Edward, if I can get you to step right on out the side for a second, and we're going to try to move our light, and so that we can show you a little bit more of this shot here. This is live television, folks, so things happen. You see the media all coming around to be able to get their shots as well. And we're going to sit on this particular shot. So the honor guard is standing, waiting. We were actually here yesterday when they had an opportunity to rehearse being here and wanting to make sure that they captured this moment in a very perfect way. As we wait on the family to arrive, many of you may not know, it's thank goodness it has cooled off quite a bit down here. I mean, it's still a little warm, but it has cooled off quite a bit. So I mean, it's not, this honor guard won't experience what the honor guard experienced at in DC when it was past 100 degrees. And so what we're going to do as we stay on this shot back in the studio, let's go ahead and take a break, and we'll reset ourselves. But please stay with us for this. On the corner, can y'all see? Everybody, we are back here live for this Fulton farewell at the state capitol. We want to thank you so much for joining us. You may hear choppers overhead. We are live at the state capitol where the honor guard is ready to receive the late Congressman John Lewis. We are excited to be able to be here with you. And we are asking that you be patient with us as we are live on TV at this moment. And we are showing you what we can see. I don't know if, Nathan, I think you are on the honor guard. I'm not sure if you can even pan up and see the flag that I was telling everyone about earlier, where you had the Atlanta Fire Department is there, and they have their flag draped. This is, as you well know, one of the highest honors for a fire department to be able to bestow on a citizen. And joining here with me is Fulton County District 4 Commissioner Natalie Hall. Commissioner, you just really wanted to be a part of this day. Yeah, it has been an amazing. Oh well, here we are. See, the motorcycles are coming down. Yes. Let's just listen to this for a moment. You are watching live the Atlanta Police motorcade. And as you see, the honor guard is here waiting on the family. And so now you can see, or you will see shortly, the family is rolling up as we speak. As you may know by now, Willie Watkins Funeral Home has had the honor of caring for Congressman John Lewis. You are watching what we are watching.
Shania, just glance over your shoulder at the motorcade and how
Yes.
they
Nathan,
are
also turn this way real quick. I want to show this motorcade
outstanding.
so that you can see what we are seeing here. All of us are under tents, and you can see the motorcade standing here waiting on the family to come out. And as we pan back this way, the family is starting to come off of the buses. We're going to sit on this shot for a while as we show you the family coming to the state capitol to be a part of this amazing moment in history. Again, we are live at the state capitol in downtown Atlanta, where the family and family friends are all coming into the state capitol to prepare for the special ceremony in the rotunda. The governor will be here with them, we're told, along with a number of other state, city, and county leaders who all want to be a part of this very special day. I am standing here with Commissioner Natalie Hall from District 4.
And Shania, the flag, the display of the flag is just awesome and beautiful.
Yeah, it is amazing to see it, and now that the family is preparing to go in, I've got both Commissioner Natalie Hall from Fulton County and Fulton County Chairman here with us as we are waiting on the honor guard. Here we are. You know, in live television, they teach us that you have to keep going, but sometimes there are just moments where silence speaks volumes.
That's
And
right.
this is one of those moments.
Absolutely right, Shania.
Chairman, what has this moment, we've been waiting on it all morning, what has this moment felt like for you being a part of this?
Well, again, I reflect on our, as I told you earlier, people who probably didn't even know him now, William that they did, but I remember fondly serving with him on the Atlanta City Council and what he meant as really one of the first neighborhood activists. He was a firm believer in protecting neighborhoods, and we had some spirited disagreements over what should happen in the old Fourth Ward, Inman Park, Grant Park, and in particular the Presidential Parkway. But he fought us tooth and nail on that.
So, Chairman, here we are. Let's take another moment to appreciate what we are witnessing. Here in a distance, folks cheering,
Yes.
showing their love for our beloved Congressman John Lewis as the honor guard prepares to bring him into the state capitol. You may see at the top of the steps, that is both Governor Kemp and also the mayor of the city of Atlanta. You also have Representative Calvin Smyre, the First Lady, all there. Georgia State Patrol, saluting Fulton's own, Atlanta's own, Congressman John Robert Lewis. governor and the mayor ushering in. And as they begin, our chairman is getting ready to also represent Fulton County in the ceremony, and he is headed inside. Chairman, thank you so very much for being with us. We appreciate
Thank you
your
for
time.
having me.
We know that you must get inside. Staying with me is Fulton County District 4 Commissioner Natalie Hall. This is an amazing moment, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it's so beautiful to see how Congressman Lewis is being honored in this way.
As Congressman Lewis is brought into the Georgia State Capitol, we want to thank you for staying here with us. We're going to toss to a break, and then we are going to prepare for the 2 o'clock ceremony. You are watching a Fulton farewell of Congressman John Lewis. Stay with us.
Mayor Lance Rogers, Dave Snyder, and this humble family, the Lewis family, all who are assembled here today as guests. This is a great day. This is a great day. Today as we gather in somber celebration of the life and legendary legacy of Congressman John Robert Lewis, a gentle giant of a man. There is a sweet, sweet spirit in this place. Congressman Lewis, born to sharecroppers, was called by God, and he rose to greatness as a gentle man. He fought against those who sought to oppress rather than provide opportunity. He stood against those who sought to deny rather than ensure equitable rights among all humanity, and worked against those who sought to divide and conquer rather than to sow seeds of hope and unity. Congressman Lewis, the gentle giant of a man, walked as he marched and prayed that others could live a better life where inalienable rights are truths that are self-evident for everyone. Congressman Lewis, a gentle giant man, spoke truth to power as a prophet, ordained and called by God, following the footsteps of Moses, Martin, and another named John. Congressman Lewis laid down his life for all of us, and he taught us how to get into this trouble. In the book of Micah, the 6th chapter, the 8th verse, the question is asked, and what does the Lord require of us all? God's reply is to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly before your God. So today we gather in somber celebration to celebrate Congressman John Lewis, our great giant of a man who heeded God's call. And as one of God's chosen prophets, he lived by showing us how to get into good trouble, by acting justly, loving mercy, and walking humbly before his God. Let us pray. God of justice, love, and mercy, we come thanking you for the life of our dearly beloved Congressman John Robert Lewis, who knew you for himself. We come, oh God, asking that you put your loving arms around this family, giving them the comfort of knowing that everything is going to be all right. Giving them the comfort of knowing that you are the same God, Lord, who wrapped your loving arms around daddy, brother, uncle, and friend, the same God who without you, we would be like a ship without a sail. So today, oh God, we thank you. We thank you for the many lives that our beloved Congressman Lewis touched, thanking you for calling him to rise to greatness as a beacon of light, a symbol of hope, a change agent for the world, and the moral consciousness of our great nation. For we know that he is now on the mountaintop with you, Lord, and for those who believe, we shall see him again. Oh, happy day, Lord, that we can say thank you. Thank you for sending your prophet John, and because he lived, lives are so much better. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow, because he lived, the fight will continue for voting rights. Because he lived, the fight will continue for equity and justice for all. And because he lived, speaking truth to power is not just another cliche, but real trouble for us to follow. Thank you, God, for sending our gentle giant, the moral conscience of America, in the life of Congressman John Robert Lewis. And to all who love the Lord, join me in saying amen, amen, and amen. Bless you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, Marty, the girls, and I join countless Georgians and Americans in mourning the loss of Congressman John Lewis, a titan of the civil rights movement, a beloved Georgian, an American hero, and a friend to all who sought a better, fairer, more united society. Congressman John Lewis changed our country in profound and immeasurable ways, and his legacy of passionate service is truly unmatched. As mentioned, the son of sharecroppers, John Lewis felt his calling at a young age and devoted every waking moment to the fight for justice, equality, access, and opportunity for all people, no matter their skin color. He built quite a reputation along the way, and the good trouble that led to real change inspired a country and changed this world. No matter where you go, everyone knows the name of John Lewis. And more importantly, they know his record of standing up, speaking out, and shaking up the status quo. At home in the 5th District, this legendary freedom fighter was a friendly neighborhood face, serving his constituents selflessly and with open arms. In our country's most trying moments, Congressman John Lewis taught us the lesson of joyful, steadfast commitment to ideals bigger than one man or one movement. When faced with fierce, violent opposition on a bridge in Selma, Alabama, John Lewis stared evil and injustice in the eye. He didn't turn back that Sunday because he was grounded in a deep belief that our worth was given by God, not by man. His example taught us that we have nothing to lose and everything to gain by working together and loving one another. And even today, as our country faces a public health crisis and new challenges rooted in injustice, I know that the example left behind by Congressman Lewis, the man who literally crossed the aisle to embrace retiring Republican Senator Johnny Isakson, will inspire all of us to do the hard, necessary work to overcome our shared challenges and emerge stronger. The congressman put it best by saying, "We love our country, we love our democratic society, so we have to move our feet." As we mourn his passing, we all should recommit ourselves to the principles he fought for, our country's core foundation in liberty, freedom, and justice for all. America and the state of Georgia will be forever stronger, freer, and more just because of Congressman John Lewis. But we must do our part to build on his work and keep his legacy alive. He urged us to love one another, to walk and to work together despite our differences, and push our state and our nation toward a better tomorrow. His leadership in the civil rights movement and more than 30-year career in public service embodies our highest ideals. And we are each, as Georgians and Americans, better for his work. So and now, in honor of his memory, we have to move our feet. May his words, actions, and legacy continue to serve as our country's conscience. The prayers of my family and all Georgians are with Congressman Lewis's family, his loved one, his staff who worked so hard on his behalf, and all of us that he inspired. God bless you all, and may God continue to bless this great state and nation.
Governor Kemp, Dean Smyrie, John Miles, and to the family, Some 85 years ago, the great Langston Hughes wrote of the promise and pain of America. Let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be. Let it be the pioneer on the plain, seeking a home where he himself is free. America never was America to me. Let America be the dream, the dreamer's dream. Let it be that great, strong land of love, where never kings connive nor tyrants scheme, that any man be crushed by one above. It never was America to me. Oh, let my land be a land where liberty is crowned with no false patriotic wreath, but opportunity is real and life is free. Equality is in the air we breathe. Some 5 years after these words were written, a descendant of the enslaved, a son of sharecroppers, was born, and the words of the Lord rested upon his life. Before I formed you, I knew you in the womb. Before you were born, I sanctified you. I ordained you a prophet to the nations. And this prophet, our prophet, called upon America to be America again. And so we gather here today in what was once a stronghold of the Confederacy together, because this prophet lived and this prophet named John Lewis loved. Like so many, I have a deep and abiding admiration for Congressman Lewis, and I've had it my entire life. I would see his lovely wife, Lillian, when she came into my mother's hair salon to have her hair done. She was a beautiful and brilliant woman whose love and affection for John Miles was evident in every conversation that she had. I knew Congressman Lewis as the man who worked in SNCC with my Aunt Ruby Doris Smith Robinson. She died at the age 26, leaving a 2-year-old son behind. Each time I saw the congressman, his eyes glistened with tears when he spoke of her. He told me stories of being beaten with her and going to jail together in Rock Hill, South Carolina. He always made sure to ask about her son, Teray. Although an Alabama legend, an Atlanta icon, and an American hero, Congressman Lewis to take time to let me know, to let all of us know that we mattered to him. And so I don't think it was happenstance that in his final public appearance, he visited the Black Lives Matters mural in Washington, D.C. And it was around this same time that I joined him on a Zoom call with President Obama and the Obama Foundation for My Brother's Keeper. Until his last days, he was calling upon America to be America again in his words and his deeds. I was deeply moved a couple of days ago when his chief of staff, Michael Collins, shared with me that the congressman was intently watching the news of Atlanta and proud of the leadership that's been shown. And so, Governor, when the good trouble continues, know that it is with the blessings of Congressman Lewis. And although the fight for liberty and equality continues, Congressman Lewis reminded us to be hopeful, to be optimistic, and to never lose a sense of hope. Oh, let America be America again, the land that never has been yet and yet must be, the land where every man is free.
I'm State Representative Calvin Smyrie, and I am deeply, deeply honored to be here today. To Governor Kemp, to Mayor Bottoms, to Representative Bennett, and the members of the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus, to all of our constitutional officers, our judicial branch, members of the General Assembly, and all elected officials, ladies and gentlemen. To John, to you and your family, the entire John Lewis family, welcome to the rotunda of the Georgia State Capitol, where on today we pay our fond respects and show our admiration to a fallen hero and often called the conscience of the Congress, and to bid him farewell. We heard inside, and we mourn the loss of Congressman John Lewis, yet we cherish the life he lived and the contributions he made to humanity. We thank him for his sacrifices and all that he gave that others would enjoy a better life. He was a fearless warrior in real life. We all have stories of personal charm, his greatness, his many struggles, and the strength of his character. A giant redwood tree has fallen in the Georgia forest of life. Having been elected in 1974, over 46 years ago, brings me and my mind to the events of March 7th, 1965, Bloody Sunday. John Lewis paid a personal heavy price on the Selma to Montgomery March as he was badly beaten and thought he had died. It was because of his endless courage, his commitment to the struggle, and getting in good trouble that gave us the opportunity to seek public office. History records that it was the events of that dreaded day that led to the passage of the 1965 Voting Rights Act, which propelled and opened the way for African Americans to seek public office and bring needed change to creating good public policy which determines our quality of life. He always stated that voting was so precious. People died for our right to vote. John Lewis, the son of a sharecropper, was told, "Don't get in the way. Don't get in trouble." He was inspired by Rosa Parks when he met her at 17 years old, and a year later, meeting Martin Luther King Jr. at 18 years of age. Those two people inspired John Lewis to get in the way and find necessary good trouble. In the emotional John Lewis speech that was played during the U.S. Capitol Memorial, which brought tears to my eyes, he gave and left us a mandate to stand up, speak out, a mandate to find a way to get in the way and make our state and country a better place. Keep the faith. We're not going back. We are going forward. We must keep the faith, and that's our moral obligation. Never become bitter. Never hate. We are one people. There may be some setbacks, but we all must keep the faith. Never give up. Never give up. That's our calling. John, in your memory and as a legacy, you will continue to motivate us, inspire us, and be a solid strength of source. You will be missed, but we will cherish the memories and the moments. You left us with many challenges to seek answers and certain principles to guide us. Your mark on America is forever established and recorded. Dr. Martin Luther King once said, and I quote, "If a man has not discovered something that he will die for, he isn't fit to live." John Robert Lewis found something to die for. Freedom. Oh, freedom. The loss of John Lewis reminds us to never be afraid of where we are going when we know God is going with us. God be with you, John Lewis. Job well done, thy faithful servant. Job well done. Our closing prayer, Lord of all, we praise you for all you have entered into thy rest and reached the promised land where you are seen face to face. Lord, give us grace to follow in thy footsteps as thou follow in the way of your Son. Thank you. Thank you for the memory of those you have called to yourself. By each memory, turn our hearts from things seen to things unseen, and lead us till we come to the eternal rest you have prepared for your people. Through your name we pray. Amen. If everyone could remain seated until the family exits the rotunda. Thank you for your cooperation.
welcome back to this FGTV special of Fulton Farewell for Congressman John Lewis. I am joined by quite a special woman to me, but also a special woman to the Lewis family. Former CNN and FGTV anchor Lynn Vaughn. We are so happy to have you. Lynn is a personal family friend to both not only the congressman but his late wife. And all the years we've heard so many stories. You have been a part of this journey as the country, as the nation says goodbye. Tell everyone about how this past several days have been for you and the family.
Well, first of all, I was on the organizing committee, and we had meetings every night, and we'd have to report on our tasks. To pull this together, it's just miraculous, and it's so fitting for who he is and who he was. But this has been overwhelming, the outpouring of love and support everywhere we went. And I've shed a lot of tears, and sometimes it hits you that he won't be here tomorrow.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
And so it's painfully poignant, but at the same time, just the experience of a lifetime.
And we, behind Ms. Vaughn and behind me both, you can see a line. The line started forming. The governor just wrapped up his ceremony with the other elected leaders from both the state and city and county in the rotunda, and the congressman lies in the state as we speak. But people they started lining up even before the event started. They wanted to be a part of it. Atlanta police had shut down the street, but now you can see the cars are allowed to come on through, so you see traffic. But on the other side of the traffic, the lines of people who just want to be a part of this day. And I knew it was really important for you and the family, for the public to be a part of this day.
Well, all of my friends knew of our relationship, but as you know, I never boasted. It just was John and Lillian and John. And so to see how he was loved and respected by just millions and millions of people, I'm like, I should have taken more pictures. I should have journaled.
Yes.
You're a journaler,
Yes,
and I'm
yes.
trying to learn, but I should have journaled. I should have done something, because I don't want to say took it for granted, but I didn't try to capitalize on the friendship.
Right.
And everybody, being in television, everybody needs a place to be down.
Yes.
And to be themselves.
Yes.
And so we always wanted to offer him that.
And to watch, we saw you in D.C. with the family. We saw the family in Alabama. And then just to come back home. And between the draping of the flag from the Atlanta Fire Department, the motorcade, and then the reverence of the honor guard, and just the pure reverence of it all. It is so fitting.
It's nothing but love. Nothing but love. You see people holding their hands on their hearts. You see people crying. I saw people crying just as I was driving through, and of course that made me cry again. But it just is overwhelming. But he deserves that and more.
Yes.
He was such a special human being. I tell people all the time, I think he was anointed. And I believe in anointing. And I believe that there are people, I think the mayor just said he was a prophet, or the lady who did the prayer. He was a prophet.
Yes.
Imagine, there are 10 kids in this family. They're out in the fields picking peanuts and cotton and corn.
Yes.
And John is under the house hiding to get on the school bus because he wants to go to school.
Yes.
What,
Amazing.
where does that come from? And you're 10 years old. And so to watch him, and I used to always, his understated way, everybody who met him felt like he was a friend. 10 minutes at the airport, I met Congressman Lewis, and that's my pal. That's my pal, that's my bud. Because he always made everybody. Lillian used to complain that she hated to go shopping with him because he got stopped every step of the way, and she never could get her shopping done.
Well, I know that folks are now talking about how when you go on social media and folks are just posting these random photos of him, he made time for everyone.
Everyone.
And
And
his
it's not a
servants-
cliche or an
No,
overstatement.
no,
It's just not.
yeah. He was just amazing. Well, you mentioned Miss Lillian's name, his first lady.
Yes.
And she was a powerhouse of her own. And speak to their relationship.
Well, I'll tell you, before he died, I always thought that Lillian was kind of the power behind the throne. They were the powers behind each other's throne.
Nice.
I had no idea that John was as well read as Lillian. Lillian was a voracious
Yes.
reader and as a librarian, and she read everything. And John did too. And he just always surprised me by coming up with stuff that you've never heard of, and his positions. He was as firm about his positions today
Yes.
as and consistent. Consistent.
Yeah.
He's not all over the
Yeah,
place
his
like a lot of
legacy is
modern
his
day.
consistency.
Yeah, a lot of modern day people in politics.
I love
Yeah.
that you brought that up because I did think about that. It was his consistency that is his legacy. Right to the end of going to Black Lives Matter Plaza.
Yes.
In order to be able to. Just have his final moments with the people
And to
for
support the
movement.
young people.
Yes,
To
yes.
support the young people. I'm so proud of them too. I was surprised. I really was surprised at their vehemence in
Yes.
terms of what they were doing. But he went out there to make the statement that I'm with you.
Yes, he
You're
did.
carrying on my legacy.
Yes.
And that's what he
Well,
did.
we thought it was fitting to at least wrap up our coverage with our dear friend and the Congressman's dear friend, Miss Lynn Vaughn. Before we say goodbye, any final thoughts as you prepare for tomorrow?
Well, I just, it's hard to say goodbye. And I just, at this point, you kind of just want to get through it.
Yes.
I have to give a shout out to his son, John Miles, to their son, because
yes.
he really performed admirably.
Yes.
But let's just all keep in mind what he has asked us to
Yes.
do. And let's try to do it.
And by all means, let's go vote.
Yes.
Let's go.
Please
Lynn
vote.
Vaughn, always a jewel, and always we're always so grateful for you taking time for us. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm delighted to be back at home.
Yes, ma'am.
At FGTV.
Yes, ma'am.
That's right.
Well, as we wrap up this FGTV special, we want to extend our deepest condolences to the Lewis family. It has been quite the week of tributes, and tomorrow will be the final goodbye at the Ebenezer Baptist Church. And we just want to thank you all again so much for coming and being here with us. A special thanks to our guests and our colleagues for helping us out to honor one of our most treasured icons in this city and in this county. And as I said once again, as I've said before, let me say it once again, please, in the spirit of Congressman John Robert Lewis, please remind you to exercise your right to vote. I'm Shania Chavis-Rucker. Thank you so much.